got to a point where in my relationship we had to place a time frame. 9 to 11 p.m. was nobody should disturb me. We kind of kept notes. We spoke about it at the end of each month. We tried. It wasn't so easy to be consistent with this, but there are a lot of, we just needed to put in much more efforts because we weren't seeing each other. After marriage, we had been physically intimate for like 3 weeks. We were together. We even knew this was going to come up. During courtship, we had to discuss it. We actually went to a counselor, and a Christian counselor, who suggested things that we could do. The sexual what do you call it now, is going to be very high because people have tested this thing and that type of thing. So hi guys, welcome to my page again. My name is Grateful Valuemama, and today we're going to be talking about something very, very important. I'm just going to be sharing my story, what worked for me. So today I'm going to be sharing what happened during our long distance relationship, how I survived my long distance relationship, how I made my long distance relationship to work. I'm just going to be telling my own part of the story because husband is not here. So I'm just going to go straight into this video today. You've been following, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you. Thanks for returning. If you're a new subscriber, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so you get notifications whenever I post new videos. So I'm just going to be talking about what happens all the time in long distance relationship before I go into the tips that helped us during our long distance relationships. Some of the things that you see that happened in long distance relationships are lack of trust, the fears, the misunderstanding, the inadequate communication, cheating, of course. And most of the times the relationship doesn't just make it to the point of marriage. So this happens all the times not all the time, this happens almost all the times in long distance relationships. So what are some of the things that helped us, knowing fully well that we were aware of the possibilities and the riskiness, how risky long distance relationships could be? So if you've not seen my videos on how I met my husband, you could just go back to my channel and have yourself a very good time watching these videos and enjoying yourself, because it's going to lay a good foundation to this video I'm going to be sharing now. So, but just a very quick rundown. I met my husband in 2020 July or ending of June, and he traveled out of the country November that same year. So we barely had few months to just know ourselves physically. I mean, to meet ourselves and talk, and we were in different states. So he was working in a different state while I was studying in a different state in my final year at that point. So I think we just met like 2 or 3 times because he was preparing to travel. He traveled November 2020 and we got married July 2022. So that was a year and few months. And even after he traveled, after our wedding, we stayed together for just 3 weeks, and then he traveled back out of the country for work while I continued my internship. Then I stayed alone and I joined him only in December. So we had a lot of time apart from when we met to when we were courting, and then when we finally got married, and I just joined him here in December. So I'm just going to be giving you some things, practical things. This is my story. So it was what helped me. Every other person could have different tips, but these are the things that helped us during our long distance relationship. Just sit tight and enjoy. First of all was the trust. I trusted the person I got married to. I mean, guys, how would I even get to this point where I do not trust him? I don't know how I used to do it though. You say you are just trying, you don't really trust him very well, but just let you just enter. I did not take that risk, no. So I really trusted my husband. Like, I think I even trusted him more than I trusted myself. I was like, if anything was going to go wrong, I think I was going to be the one, because I was the one that was all sociable. He wasn't. He was not as friendly like he was. He didn't have much friends like I did, and then he loved to stay on his own. So I trusted him actually, because in as much as he's not very expressive with words, but he's responsive. He was a responsible person. He is still a responsible person, and he shared with me everything I needed to know without hiding anything, to my best of knowledge. So I trusted him. I think he trusted me so much. So he had no fear. He trusted me, and I think all those were built on the fact that we knew we were Christians. So they are intertwined. The trust, knowing that we are Christians, that we wouldn't want to disappoint God, not just each other. It was enough to keep us to start running. Like, it was a foundation for the relationship. So we trusted each other. Then number 2, I kept friends that knew of my relationship. This sounds weird, but yes, I did not hide it from my friends, people that I called friends, not acquaintances. Like, my very close friends, they knew of my relationship with him. So it was more like, and he knew that they knew. So basically, I wasn't hiding, it wasn't a secret. For instance, because it saved me a lot of times. For instance, I traveled to Asaba one of the time to see one of my friend. He was single then. We went for the introduction. So while we were just hanging out and everything, we met another guy, his friend, and the guy was kind of trying to, we were trying to vibe, and he was trying to show interest, and I was still vibing, the shaking thing. So I was just playing. I was definitely nothing was going to happen, but I was just talking with him and building communication. So when my friend noticed that we were getting along, he was like, "Ha, she is taking, she's in a relationship." It felt weird. It felt so weird. I was like, what was that? So after everything, he explained the reason why he did it, because he knew his friend, and he knew his friend wasn't a player. His friend was serious if he was coming for something. So that was just like a disclaimer. So my friends knew, and kind of it helped me to be accountable, not just to my husband, my fiance, then to myself, right? They kind of asked once in a while, what's up, what's going on, hope everything is fine. When another person was coming, they kind of observed my relationship with the person. They were physically around me, so they knew. They just, I don't know, but knowing that someone else knew was a very big check on me as well. And yeah, that was it. And then another thing is communication. I think this should be the second thing after trust, because I don't get it when you say he said that he cannot be talking to me every day. You're in a relationship with somebody. We can be talking once in a week, twice in a week. Like, why? I can't relate. I can't come to justify that. I don't know why. Why do you guys do that? What is the bedrock of relationship? Communication is just one of the most important things, because that's the only thing people have. You can't be touching and be always physically present, so you have to communicate. So we communicated a lot. Communication, it wasn't easy at first, because my husband doesn't like speaking on phone for a long time. He doesn't like it. Even social media, he wasn't just a social media person, and our calls had to be on WhatsApp calls and all that. So basically, we had to learn to communicate. It was an issue. It caused problem for us in the beginning of our relationship. We fought about it several times, when I felt like, you don't just care about me, because why would you stay a whole day and you're calling me and it's just 5 minutes you're staying on the call with me? Or why would you sleep and you did not call me? Or that type of thing. So I couldn't just understand why that was the case. So we fought a lot about it, and he had his own point where he was coming from, which I later understood, but we had to make a compromise. So it got to a point where in my relationship, we had to place a time frame. Even at home, when I was with my elder sister, she knew 9 to 11 p.m. was, nobody should disturb me. I would do everything I have to do within, even while I was in school, people who I didn't want to know, but I was in a relationship. Once it was to 9, I'm like, it's time to go. Go home. Except my girlfriends who were going to sleep over, or who understood, who wouldn't raise an eyebrow when I'm speaking to my man. So basically, we put a minimum of 2 hours daily. Yeah. So we had a particular time, 9 to 11 p.m. mostly. And that was because I was still studying. I was in my final year, so I had to finish what I was doing. And basically, this was not rigid, because towards exam period, he twitched it. He was very strict with time, so we don't even speak for more than 1 hour during exam period. And then when he was on night duty, we just had to make it up with another time. So we just knew that the 2 hours was going to happen in a day. It wasn't fixed. So the least that happened 1 hour was because basically I had exams to write, or when one of us was not, what, either of us weren't feeling so good, so we just had to leave it at 1 hour. So that was basically it. And I had his rota, his work roster. He sent it to me each time it came out, so I knew what his work schedule was like. I knew when to call, when not to call, and that was it. So another thing that helped me was journals. I write a lot, so whenever things happen during the day and I want to talk about it and I know that he's not there and I can't talk to him at that point, I just write them down. When we speak on phone, I start reading all those things because you have to know, you don't have a choice. And he's a good listener, so he listened a lot. So, and then another thing was, we spoke about our day, every single thing that happened in our days. Initially when we started, I'm like, babe, how was the day? It was fine. Okay. I was like, what else? It was fine. I'm like, that's not what I want to know. How was your day? Which one is it was fine? We can't continue like this. You need to give me details. So at some point, he got to that point of understanding that this is what I wanted and this is what was going to help us, because we are not close to each other physically. I can't always access you at any point in time. So we had to keep details of everything that was happening in our life. He was aware of everything, whether he asked or not, I told him. And I was aware of almost everything that he could tell me at that point, right? So it was a beautiful one. It wasn't easy, but we had to build communication, text message, random text message. Let me even tell you, but at some point, we had to speak to a counselor because I felt like he wasn't doing enough. I don't know, I was always the one. I don't understand. God help me. So I felt like, the random text messages, waking up messages and everything. So we had to talk to a counselor because he was causing trouble. And he advised us what to do and all that. So my husband randomly, like maybe in fact, most times it happened every day, or maybe once in a week, twice in a week, or he just, maybe at work, he sends me random messages and you just see me smiling and blushing, just trying to make you feel good, remind you how he loves me and all that. So the reassuring words were good, and I was always sending because I loved it. So I was always sending messages to remind him this is what. So those were the things that actually helped us. So I don't know if I'm missing anything under communication, but communication is so much important. Over to the next one. We prayed together. We actually built a common ground spiritually together, and that was what helped me to know his values and it helped me make a decision of whether I was proceeding with him or not, because it's not just about the person is a member of my church, he knows God, he's born again. There are some values that people share that we don't share and that could cause problem in our home. So it helped us. We prayed together. In fact, every morning we did our devotion together. After our quiet time, we did our devotion together. When I wasn't keeping up with my quiet time, he wakes me up. When he wasn't, I wakes him up so that he can do his quiet time before our devotion. So we did our devotions together every morning. No matter how short, we had to pray together. And then before we slept, our normal night calls. So that was a constant. So then we had a particular day in the week where we did our fasting and prayers. We had a particular day for Bible studies. We just built it around God because, it's said that couples that draw close to God, they come close to each other. It's just like a triangle. The more you get close to God, the more you guys are coming close together. So he helped us. There were times when we couldn't just come to an agreement of a particular thing, and we just didn't want to talk about it. But we knew that I think something happened one of the times, and he sent me a message that he was angry, but he knows that his prayers will not be answered if he gets married to me and he sleeps over a problem, or he's angry with me for a while, or stuff like that. So we just made God the center of the relationship. That also helped us to form a bond between each other. Then the most exciting part for me, we went on dates. You'll be surprised. We went on dinner dates together over the phone. So how it happened, we fixed dates for dates, and then I would dress up, look so beautiful. People will be like, yeah, he's going out. I'm going on a date with my fiance. And they're like, are you okay? I'm like, yes. So what happens is, when I get to the place, he tells me to choose where I'm going to. When I get to where I'm going to, KFC, Domino Pizza, on my video, we are on the video. In fact, most times when I'm dressing up, I'm on a audio call with him. When I get to where I'm going, I switch it to video call. Then I just keep my phone. I try to get things that help me make it comfortable. I just place my order. He'll send money and pay. Then he will just on video call. He doesn't want to go out. Most times he doesn't go out because he prefers eating indoors. He doesn't like eating out. So I don't mind. I don't mind eating pizza. I don't mind eating shawarma and all those rishi. I don't mind. It's a date. It's not every day. So we just be on the call talking, just trying to say sweet things about each other, about the relationship. How far have we gone? So I mean, it was amazing. I just love those days. Oh god, I really enjoyed it though. I mean, like, it felt so real, like I was with someone, because people just watch me and they're like, who is this girl talking to? But that's not my business. I was basically talking to the love of my life. So it was sweet because, you know, you eat, you gist. It was just a different, and I really appreciated that. It just helped us bond. You know, remembering the memories now, it makes me feel mushy. I'm going to suggest it again, but this time we have to go together. So guys, yeah, that was it. And then another one was the 6th one now. We did a quarterly, a monthly, we kind of analyzed our relationship monthly. What went wrong last month? What can we do better? You know, we kind of kept notes. We spoke about it at the end of each month. We tried. It wasn't so easy to be consistent with this, but there are a lot of, we just needed to put in much more efforts because we weren't seeing each other. There are times when it was difficult for me because I felt so annoyed. I had lots of people close to me. God, the advances were much when my husband came. I had a lot of people physically present, so, and I couldn't emotionally be vulnerable to them. I had to just keep it for one man. So, and he wasn't always available because he was at work. I had to wait till that particular time, so it wasn't easy, but we had to put in extra work. So each month we tried to look for things that we're going to we talked about things that can help us, that we can do to improve our relationship. Each month we analyzed those things. The 7th one, I had contact of people who were close to him physically. He had contact of people who were close to me physically as well. For instance, I can remember one of the days I was calling him on phone and he wasn't picking. He had not called me throughout the day and he wasn't picking his call. That was really strange. I was dead worried. I was so worried. So I just called one of the sisters in the church living close to him. She's married, and when I asked, because I asked for this contact once in a while, if someone came to stay with him, if someone visited and I felt that the person was staying around or is like physically close to him, I just asked for the contact and he gives me. And that instant, so in that case, the lady came and had to knock on his door. He was sleeping. He came back from night and he was sleeping. So he just slept throughout the day. His phone was on silent. So they had to ring the bell, knock on the door before he came up, answered, and now called me back. So that really doused my fear because it was really terrifying for me. I was even calling my family members. Have you heard from him? His family members, have you heard from him? It was, Jesus Christ. It was emotionally terrifying. So, but that was it. And several other times, like when I also planned his birthday over here, over when I was in Nigeria, I had to get a contact of his friend. The person helps me shop for things, delivered it to him early in the morning. So having his contact, and he had contact of people close to me. 2 of my birthdays that I celebrated away from him physically, they planned it and I was never aware of anything. He just made contact of people, made call to people that were around me, and they set up amazing surprises. So that was really also very helpful to keep us stable when there was an issue with my health and he needed to speak to someone and I couldn't talk. He just called my friend. So it was really important, and I think it is very important. And that thing was, he was a priority. In chatting, he was my priority because on my WhatsApp, I had to pin him. He was the first chat on my WhatsApp. So he did the same thing. I noticed when I came over, he pinned my chat as well. So when people chat me up and I have lots of chats to read, his chat can't get lost because his chat is always the first, because it's pinned there. So it helped me to reply his messages on time. It helped him to reply his messages to me from me on time. We talked about this. Don't think it just happened, because there are times when my husband doesn't like WhatsApp. He doesn't like social media actually. So he only goes there when there is something important. So sometimes I could send messages and he did not even know I sent messages. So the pinning of the chat just helped him that once he opened his WhatsApp, he sees my message. And because we've talked about it, it has caused problem before, he just goes ahead to read my message and reply it. And I don't also leave his messages unread because I know it can bring up trust issues, fear, worries. And that was one of the things that could start putting a stain on our relationship, which is what I did not want at all. So I took that seriously. The last thing was I told him about every advances, like all my advances. He kind of was aware of it, and I think it's very important. Even when I was considering someone else after I gave him yes, and he knew about it, because I was just confused. This person was physically present. This person was just doing everything to, I was confused, and he knew about all of this. Like, so he knew about all of this, and he knew about all my advances, even the ones that I just knew that they were not serious. He knew about each and every one of them, and he trusted me. He wasn't restrictive. He wasn't trying to say, don't call this person, don't talk to this person, except on, and when it became serious and he had, do you want me to call this person? Do you want me to say, do you want me to help you? This type of things. That was basically when we had, like, we are, it was sure, we're not just doubting, we're getting married and all that. So yeah. So one thing I'm going to put out here is, for once, I was not in any cage by being in a relationship with my husband. Why I'm saying this is because some persons feel like once you're in courtship, you have to do everything to make sure it works. No, we had that discussion. You are free to leave when we're not yet married, right? Because relationship allows you to know yourself, to know what you can tolerate. If it's something you cannot tolerate, you can't tolerate it, so you don't cause problem for yourself in marriage, managing. So we had that discussion. So I was never for once caged. We had that discussion. We just tried to keep making ourselves better while we knew that we could do this together, right? So, and that thing I did not feel, I'm not going to forget mentioning, is the fact that we had to help ourselves. For instance, especially after marriage. After marriage, we had been physically intimate for like 3 weeks. We are together. So, we even knew this was going to come up during courtship. We had to discuss it. We actually went to a counselor, and a Christian counselor, who suggested things that we could do. The sexual, what do you call it now, is going to be very high because people have tested this thing, and that type of thing. So we had to discuss what could we do, what can we do to help each other. We had that discussion just before wedding. So after wedding, one of the things that I know that we did was we came to an agreement. He's my husband, but I can't be naked and talking to him, because you're going to be, I knew I was going to be away from this person for like how many months. So what's the use? Why am I going to be arousing him? What's the use? So, and he too, there are things that he was trying not to, he wasn't trying to be, when I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I might just write it in the screen. I don't want to make this video a very long one. So we are also very careful about things that we said. There are times we couldn't just do video calls, right? So yeah, we did lots of video calls, lots and lots of video calls, because sometimes when you're chatting with someone, you can't see the expression on the person's face or the emotions behind the chat. So most times when I'm speaking with him and I'm angry and I don't want him to know, what he just does is he just all of a sudden request for a video call just to see my face, and that way. So the video calls actually helped us. But I'm saying that in order to be sexually pure, in order not to be thinking of doing this somewhere outside or doing it with yourself or something like that, we had to keep the boundaries. It was even worse before we got married. But after we got married, we had to know that yes, we are married, but we needed to still be sexually pure, because we are away, we're not with each other, and you have people around you, we just had to help ourselves. So that was just a disclaimer and just an extra thing to add. So I don't know if you've picked anything from this video today. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a very long time in this channel, and I'm glad to be back by God's grace. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've learned one or two. Don't forget to share my video and like this video, please, I beg you. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye.